Hello, this is Daedalus with Nerds and Stuff, and today I'll be showing you how to take this boring NDF base and turn it into this. Let's get started. So this is just one of those wood MDF bases I ordered online. I got a ton of those. And this is just some like replacement screen fabric I got at the fabric store. You can get this, it is super cheap. You can get a ton of it for like just pennies on the say the square inch, which if you're doing a lot of bases is fantastic. So I've just cut out a little small swatch of this, and I'm layering my liquid super glue on there really thick and just trying to get this covering the whole thing. Because of the nature of this material, I want a whole coverage instead of points so that it doesn't peel up in places. And I kind of ran into a little problem that I can't really push down on it to hold it in place, or I'll glue my fingers to it. So fortunately I keep Q-tips and toothpicks next to my painting stuff, so I was able to grab one of those real quick and roll it out, and then I just gave it a quick spritz of the Insta-Set so that it would cure. And then we're going to go through the laborious process of clipping this out. Now, I tried to do this with my X-Acto knife, and while the screen material itself is just fiber dipped in rubber, it was a little difficult. So I went and just got my clippers, and I'm just going through it, and unfortunately it takes some time. So I've sped this up a lot. I tried to cut like you would with scissors, and it just wasn't happening. So I just kind of had to go and clip each individual strand. I might need to find a better method for this on the next go around, or maybe not, I don't know. I really liked how this one turned out, so it would be worth putting in the effort of individually clipping these for more of these kinds of bases. So yeah, it's kind of a little pain to work with. When I did clip it, a few of the spots did fray out with the thread, the material they use. So I did have to come up and just kind of trim some of those threads so they wouldn't just be hanging everywhere off the model when all was said and done. But altogether, pretty good to work with. And you can cover as much of your base with this if you want. I went for the whole thing. I was kind of thinking like a dystopian future, steampunkish, kind of like great city or something. Kind of like the back alley, someplace that somebody would be sneaking into. So now I've got these Q-tips. I have a few of these. I bought them at the dollar store. They're plastic instead of paper. And so I need to just go and get some more like coffee stir sticks and use that instead. But I've clipped it down, and now I'm just melting it. I'm trying to get like some looking pipes. So like I wanted burst pipes or pipes that have like melted away or something, that really in disrepair. So I kind of have taken these, clipped them down, and am now melting the ends so they kind of peel back. I'm doing it on both sides so that I have a bottom too, and by melting the bottom to get that curl up to look like a pipe mount, and then pressing it directly into the texture of the screen, I can imprint that texture onto the plastic so that it will help stick better. You know, that way you have a better surface to grab with. And unfortunately, when I did this, I couldn't remember where I'd stuck it down, so it actually came off while I was priming and I had to re-glue it. But for the second one, that's why I kind of kept it right there. But we had kind of more of a broken V, so this one I wanted to really get a long gash, like this pipe had maybe corroded away or something, and this is all that was left after it broke. So I've got this nice groovy lighter that I found in my apartment when I moved in. I probably would have picked something a little different myself. You know, there's not really enough tie-dye for my style. So now we've got this long gash on it, kind of more of a sloped break instead of a more even one. And now we're just going to do the exact same thing. I have kept my painting rinse water is off to the side there, so as these get melted, at least for the parts I'm touching, I dip it real quick to cool it, because I don't like melted plastic on my fingers. Kids, if you're watching this, definitely get parents' help with this part, because molten plastic does not feel good on tender flesh. Take it from my experience. So we got that one stuck in place, and that one seated a whole lot better than the other one. I've gone ahead and primed it, and now we're just going over it with the gunmetal. This is the Vallejo Game Air gunmetal. I just wanted to give everything, at least on the floor, this real basic metallic shine, and then I could apply some other metallic paints for accents. And if you wanted, you could take it right here, or maybe after you do the first highlight on it, and wash it with like an Agrax or something to help get the in-between on the grid done. I wasn't too worried about it because a model's going on top of this, and with the black primer it actually looked pretty good. most of it. There were only a few spots where bristles actually got down and touched the in-between on the grates. So now I've just come through with the Chainmail Silver, and I did kind of some highlights. Those were areas that I thought people might be walking, so they would get worn down more often and have a brighter tone to them and not have quite as dark or grimy of a look. Now I'm just coming in with a Brassy Brass from the Vallejo Game Air line. All of these metallics, by the way, are through that Vallejo Game Air. And this is going to take a couple coats to cover. The browns don't cover quite as well over black as the silvers do. Had I come with a brown first, it probably would be fine, but I'm going to have to do 2 coats on this. And you can see right there was the former glue point. It kind of just made this little mass of super glue, so I ended up just playing it off like an extra pipe that had broken. So now we're coming in with a Citadel Typhus Corrosion. This is one of their technical paints. It's part of a 2-part series. You've got the Typhus Corrosion and the Ryza Rust, which is what I'm dry brushing now. The Ryza Rust is kind of interesting. It's one of their dry line, which I haven't used a lot of. It's really thick stuff that you just kind of mash into the bristles and then wipe off, and then you dry brush with it. Is, you know, I don't normally use paints that are dedicated to just one thing, so I dry brush with normal paints, but this was really useful. Really helpful, and really helped pull off a great look. The Typhus Corrosion has some, like, little particles in it, kind of like little sand suspended, so when you paint it on a flat surface, you get, like, little bubble or pop marks, so it looks like metal flaking away. You can't really see that coming across on the floor grate because the material I'm painting is so small that sort of texture just gets lost or can't even bind. So now I'm just coming through with a second coat of the Brassy Brass, and kind of got to poke a hole through the paint so it doesn't close up that other pipe. Just building up this color. I probably, if I was really concerned about the color being solid, I could have done one more coat. I wasn't too worried because I'm going to weather it anyway. These are just a couple of black pearl beads I bought at the craft store. I use these in paint bottles that need shakers once in a while. If I've got a paint that won't mix well or that I have to shake a ton, I'll slip one of these guys in there. And it just so happened they look like some kind of dystopian cool metallic thing. Maybe they're like storage containers or, you know, mysterious boxes on the street. Who knows? They're just little odd shiny bits. It's steampunk, you know? It doesn't matter. It's a neat thing. And I apologize for this. I didn't realize I was off camera painting. Normally I'm checking frequently enough to notice when this is happening. I do apologize. But we're coming in with the nickel oxide now. This is like the weathering pigment for brasses and bronze from the Citadel technical line. It's really had a higher color potency than I expected. I've used this before, but only to do like ghostly effects on models, actually. It's somewhere between a wash and a glaze, but it's a lot closer to a glaze than a wash, if that makes any sense at all. So I kind of got it on real thick, and I had to come through and wipe off most of it and then play with it on the brush to really give it a more of a streaked look. I wanted these pipes to really look used and abused, so I kind of did this to them so they would look really worn out and kind of that they had been in real disuse or disrepair. And I just kind of got both of them with a lot of streaks. Like I said, I'm not going for tight coverage. I did get it a little thicker around the edges of the pipes. These are like the points where most water would get trapped and then cause that corrosion to occur. If you ever need good examples, just go to like your downtown of your local biggest city and walk through a back alley and look at some of the old piping or old like brickwork there. You'll see a lot of this weathering stuff, and then you can pull that from nature. And that's going to pretty much do it for today. There's your dystopian steampunk urban base. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below and I'll get to them as soon as I see them. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. And as always, until next time, happy painting.